Hi, today I've invited April to talk with me again. And April, I've been thinking about the commuting video that we did last time, and I'm wondering how the commute with the kids actually went. Because I can imagine that spending a couple hours a day in the car with young kids could be quite the adventure. So
absolutely.
Yeah, what can you tell us a little bit about your experiences and any tips that you have for moms who are doing a similar commute with their kids?
Sure. So starting as babies, obviously, again, I highly recommend feeding them before you start, and because a hungry baby is a cranky baby. And as they get older, if you have a car that has baby lockout so they cannot open the back doors by themselves, I highly recommend that. As a little anecdote, my 2-year-old somehow managed to get his shoes and socks off in the back seat in his car seat, and he was an extra tall baby and he had prehensile toes, so he actually figured out how to unlock the door with his toes while we were going 55 miles an hour. So thankfully it unlocked but didn't unlatch, so the door did not come open, but that was kind of an eye-opener. So again, most of today's cars have that ability, so I highly recommend making sure that you read your owner's manual, and that is instituted.
Yeah.
Also, take advantage of the time you have in the car, whether it's an infant or an older child, because you can sing songs, you can learn about whatever's around you. So I recommend don't always put the DVD player in, because we can learn from our surroundings. My children and I did ABC songs, we did math, my commute was rural, so we learned about cows and horses and the difference between soybean and corn. So there are many things you can do that are educational with your child during that time you have with them, because that's a special time. If just you and baby in the car or kid, that you're bonding with them whether they realize it or not. So another thing is to make sure that they have snacks and drink appropriate to the child's age, so because you don't want them to choke in the car seat, but you need to make sure that it's non-spillable cup, and that it's not going to totally contaminate or destroy your car in the process. So another thing would be to think about safety. So during the summer, do you have extra drinks and your cell phone? And then during the winter especially, because there were some harrowing times when I had my kids in the car and it was snowing and I was trying to get home, etc. So always make sure that you have a charged cell phone. Again, when my kids were little, we didn't have cell phones, so to think back, I'm like, oh, I'm so thankful now. But be sure you have a sleeping bag or blankets, boots for both you and baby, food and water to make sure that if you do end up off the road, that you can survive in cold or hot temperatures until help arrives. Another thing is to work on your homework. So as the kids got older, my kids went from daycare to preschool to kindergarten to elementary school in the town I worked at. So we actually did homework in the car to take advantage of that time. And that was an interesting experience. And also you have to take into account whether or not the child gets car sick or not. Thankfully my kids did not. But that leads me to another thing is, as icky as it is, some kids do occasionally throw up in the car, whether that's picking that from daycare or school because the vomit flu is rampaging through, it's viral, it happens. I highly recommend getting the old-fashioned plastic pitcher that has a handle and a top, because the kids can actually hold it, or you as mom can hold it, and it can catch the contaminant and then put the lid on, and it's contained. So it's kind of like the airbag in the airplane, except for the car. So there are different options for that, but it will happen. It's kind of not what if, but when, so be prepared.
Yeah, that's a good tip. I know that's happened to me, and I don't commute, but I've had that happen in the car with kids, so really great tip.
Yep. And then one more is the fact that always be prepared for Plan B, because again, I have a rural commute, so during the fall and spring there are times when I have farm implements blocking the entire road, and it takes me a little longer to get to work or daycare or school, and so you need to plan your routes accordingly, whether that's for blockage or weather. because sometimes certain areas flood in our parts of where we live. So you have to make sure that you're flexible enough to handle those situations, and make sure that you have other options, I guess, to make sure that you don't go insane in the process of making all of your plans work.
Right, and I'm sure that becomes even more important once they are in school,
Yeah.
and you're having to
Get
actually
there
get
by
in
a
there by the
certain
deadline.
time, yes.
But I'm sure for work you had deadlines
Right,
as well when
right.
you had to arrive. Okay, well thanks for sharing your experiences, April. If you have any other tips for commuting with kids or any other experiences to share, please do so in the comments below.